Every morning you lose 40 minutes stuck in traffic. You spend a quarter of your salary just getting around. Well, you can't buy bread without using the car. Your city is stealing your time, money, and health, and the worst part is, someone designed it this way. It wasn't an accident, it's not bad luck. It was planned. Behind every impassable street, every neighborhood devoid of shops, every highway that devastates communities lie concrete decisions made by concrete people. This video exposes those decisions, the urban planning concepts that transformed vibrant cities into asphalt prisons, and why some cities chose the opposite path. 1. Zoning and mixed uses. Your city spent millions to force you to live far from everything you need. That distance between your house and the bakery, that need to drive to buy bread, isn't a coincidence. It's Euclidean zoning, and it's quietly ruining your quality of life. Land use planning dictates what can exist where. Residential here, commercial there, industrial on the outskirts. It seems orderly, but it's spatial segregation disguised as organization. This radical separation was born in the 20th century with a promise: to protect homes from polluting industries. The problem is, we never stopped separating ourselves. Walk through any American suburb. Single-family homes as far as the eye can see. Not a single store, cafe, or playground within walking distance. To buy milk, a 15-minute drive. To get to work, a 40-minute drive on the freeway. To take the kids to school, a 20-minute commute. This is the life designed by single-use zoning, where 75% of urban land is reserved exclusively for single-family homes. Now look at Tokyo. An apartment building with a restaurant on the ground floor, an office on the second floor, and a hair salon on the corner. Everything coexists. You can work, eat, and live within a 5-minute walk. This is mixed-use development, and it works because it trusts that urban life can coexist without segregation. Barcelona took this concept further with its Eixample district, designed in the 19th century by Ildefons Cerdà. Each block combines housing, shops, and services. Chamfered corners create small plazas. The original interior courtyards were conceived as communal green spaces. Although many have been lost, the mixed-use structure remains. You can live, work, and socialize without leaving your neighborhood. The result is quantifiable. In cities with mixed uses, families spend 8% of their income on transportation. In cities segregated by zoning, that percentage rises to 26%. It's not just time wasted in the car. It's money that will never come back to your pocket, consumed by a system that forces you to constantly move around to access the basics. 2. Master planning. Barcelona reappeared on the maps of contemporary urban planning when it decided to stifle traffic instead of expanding it. The superblocks, implemented since 2016, group 9 city blocks in the Eixample district and divert through traffic to the perimeter. The interior is transformed into community space. This is the power of master planning, thinking of the city as a complete system where everything is connected. It's not just about reducing cars, but about redesigning how people use public space. The interior streets of superblocks become playgrounds, temporary markets, and rest areas. Intersections, once dominated by traffic lights and speed limits, are now small plazas with greenery. The data is compelling: 70% less noise pollution, 21% less air pollution, 32% more green space. But the most important thing is invisible in the statistics. Residents have reclaimed the space. Children play in the street without their parents fearing for their safety. The elderly sit on benches that didn't exist before. Public life is resurfacing where there was once only traffic. Compare this to the average master plan. Freeways cutting through entire neighborhoods without considering the destruction they're causing to communities. Industrial zones next to schools because no one coordinated land use. Subway lines that don't connect to residential areas because the transportation department never consulted with the housing department. Genuine master planning understands that a city is not a collection of isolated projects, but an organism where every decision affects the whole. When it works, it creates coherence. When it fails, it creates the fragmented chaos that characterizes so many contemporary cities. 3. Urban revitalization. Revitalization sounds noble, but it hides an uncomfortable question. Revitalization for whom? Because renewing a neighborhood can mean two completely opposite things. It can mean investing in the people who already live there, or it can mean displacing them to bring in more profitable residents. Detroit spent decades trying the second option. They demolished entire neighborhoods to build sports stadiums and convention centers downtown. The logic was simple: attract events, tourists, and businesses, and prosperity would trickle down. They spent billions on flagship projects while basic services collapsed in most neighborhoods. The result was predictable: a gleaming downtown surrounded by neglect and a population that continued to decline for decades. Now look at Medellin. During the 1990s, the Colombian city was synonymous with violence and inequality. Informal neighborhoods on the hillsides lacked connection to the city center and formal employment. Instead of demolishing and rebuilding, the city invested in existing communities. They built the Metro Cable, a cable car system that connects the poor neighborhoods to the metro and the economic center. Then came public libraries, parks, and escalators in the steepest areas. The transformation was radical. Crime fell by 60%. Real estate values increased, but residents were able to stay because the investment was in public infrastructure, not luxury condominiums. Medellin didn't try to attract new residents, but rather to empower those who were already there. This is the fundamental difference. Detroit invested in buildings hoping people would follow. Medellin invested in people hoping the community would flourish. One strategy treats the symptoms with flashy projects. The other tackles the root causes by improving mobility, access to services, and the dignity of public spaces. What do most cities do? They chase after the creative class with designer apartments and artisanal cafes, ignoring existing communities. Then they're surprised when revitalization breeds resentment instead of renewal. 4. Environmental planning. Every summer is hotter than the last, and your city keeps covering everything with asphalt. This isn't just bad weather, it's non-existent environmental planning. Cities create heat islands by removing vegetation and covering the ground with impermeable surfaces. Urban temperatures can be 8 degrees higher than in the surrounding areas. Copenhagen strategically planted trees to create corridors of fresh air that cool specific neighborhoods. They built green roofs that absorb rainwater, reducing the risk of flooding, while lowering air conditioning costs by 30%. Every park, every green corridor, every permeable surface is designed as part of a climate adaptation system. Melbourne has created green corridors that connect parks throughout the city. These are not just beautiful places to stroll. They function as urban lungs that filter the air, as highways for urban wildlife, and as natural cooling networks. During heat waves, these corridors can reduce local temperatures by up to 5 degrees, literally saving lives among vulnerable populations. Meanwhile, your city probably cut its urban tree budget to fund yet another highway expansion. Then it's surprised when flooding gets worse, when summer becomes unbearable without air conditioning, when energy costs skyrocket. Environmental planning isn't about embracing trees for ideological reasons. It's about preventing climate disasters that cost billions in damage. The smartest cities understand that every urban decision is a climate decision. The color of the pavement affects the temperature. Soil permeability affects flooding. The location of tall buildings affects wind circulation. Environmental planning integrates all these variables into every project rather than treating them as optional embellishments. If you're discovering how planning decisions shape every aspect of your urban life, this channel is for you. Every week, we analyze the invisible forces that build and destroy cities. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos where we'll continue to unravel the secrets of contemporary urbanism. 5. Infrastructure planning. Urban infrastructure is invisible when it works and catastrophic when it fails. Water pipes, power grids, sewage systems, telecommunications networks, all hidden underground, all essential, all silently aging. Remember when Texas's power grid collapsed during the 2021 winter storm? It wasn't just bad weather, it was flawed infrastructure planning. A system without backups, without coordination between providers, without preparedness for extreme scenarios. The result, 750 dead and $50 billion in damages. All because someone decided that planning for the improbable was too expensive. The Netherlands designed its infrastructure assuming climate change is real. Its water management system handles massive storms while generating clean energy. Urban squares are designed to flood temporarily, protecting critical buildings. Dikes include sensors that anticipate problems decades before they occur. Most cities still operate with infrastructure from the 1950s, water pipes from the Eisenhower era. Electrical grids designed before air conditioning was commonplace. Bridges built when cars weighed half as much. Then they're surprised when bridges collapse and water systems fail. Infrastructure planning requires thinking 50 years ahead, but politicians think in 4-year cycles. The result is deferred maintenance until catastrophe forces action. The American Society of Civil Engineers gives U.S. infrastructure a C. It's not a technical problem, it's a problem of political priorities. 6. Urban design. Urban design is the difference between a city you live in and a city you just pass through. It's the human scale, the relationship between buildings and streets, the texture of public space. It's what determines whether you want to go for a walk or prefer to stay home. Walk through the center of Copenhagen. Wide sidewalks with weather protection, segregated bike lanes where an 8-year-old feels safe. Benches every 100 meters, shady trees, fountains to sit by, streets designed to linger, not just pass through. Public life unfolds naturally because the space invites it. Now think about your city center, probably designed for cars, not people. Narrow sidewalks where pedestrians walk single file. No shade, no places to rest, no reason to linger. Streets that feel like highways cutting between buildings. Parking lots where there should be plazas. This happens when traffic engineers design public spaces without consulting anyone who actually uses them. Good urban design encourages people to walk more, meet more, and feel more connected to their community. Cities with quality urban design have 23% more pedestrian traffic, 18% more sales in local businesses, and 15% better mental health among residents. Poor design forces people to drive everywhere and get stuck in traffic. It's not just about aesthetics, it's public health policy disguised as street design. Every decision about sidewalk width, traffic light placement, or speed limit on a residential street directly impacts the quality of life for thousands of people. 7. Parking minimums. This is the most silent villain of contemporary urban planning. Mandatory parking minimums. Municipal laws that require a certain number of parking spaces to be built for every new development. They sound reasonable until you understand their devastating consequences. Buffalo, New York requires 1 parking space for every 200 square meters of commercial space. Houston demands up to 10 spaces per restaurant. Phoenix has such strict requirements that parking occupies more space than the buildings it's supposed to serve. The result is visible from the air, endless seas of asphalt surrounding tiny structures. These requirements originated in the 1950s with good intentions, to guarantee enough parking for everyone, but they created a deadly vicious cycle. More parking means everything is farther away. Greater distances force people to use cars. More cars require more parking. More parking makes everything more expensive. Each parking space costs between $15,000 and $50,000 to build, depending on whether it's above ground or underground. Who pays? You do, even if you don't own a car. This cost is passed on to the prices of homes, shops, and offices. Parking minimums are a hidden tax that everyone pays to subsidize car use. They also kill urban density. An apartment building that could house 50 families needs so much parking space that only 20 units can be built. Affordable housing becomes impossible because the land is dedicated to parking cars. Neighborhood life disappears because the distances between buildings are increased to accommodate parking. Some cities are starting to wake up. Minneapolis eliminated all parking minimums in 2021. The sky didn't collapse. Developers continue to build parking where it makes economic sense, but without a legal requirement, they can build denser, more affordable buildings that are better integrated with public transportation. 8. Road hierarchy and street design. Your city probably has streets designed like highways, cutting through residential neighborhoods. 4 lanes, 60 km/h speed limits, wide curves that encourage speeding. This isn't a mistake, it's a flawed road hierarchy. The correct road hierarchy distinguishes between different types of streets according to their function. Highways are for long-distance, fast journeys. Avenues are for medium-distance urban travel. Local streets provide access to homes and are designed for speeds of 30 km/h or less. Each type has a different design, speed limit, and priority, but most cities built stroads, monstrous hybrids of street and road, multiple lanes cutting through commercial areas, high-speed limits next to business entrances, wide turns encouraging fast driving in areas where pedestrians are constantly crossing. The result is predictable: high accident rates, struggling businesses, and frustrated drivers because the street functions neither as a fast highway nor as a navigable local road. The stroads are dangerous for everyone. Pedestrians risk their lives crossing multiple lanes. Cyclists have no safe space. Drivers constantly brake and accelerate between traffic lights. Amsterdam redesigned its streets with absolute clarity. Access motorways end at the outskirts. Local streets are narrow, with 30 km/h speed limits, a winding design that discourages speeding and priority given to cyclists and pedestrians. There is no ambiguity about the purpose of each road. When streets are honestly designed, everyone wins. Drivers who need speed use roads designed for it. Residents have quiet, safe streets. Businesses thrive because pedestrians can move around comfortably. But most cities continue to build stroads because they are cheaper than proper design, even though they are infinitely more costly in lives, accidents, and urban quality. The next time you're stuck in traffic for 40 minutes to buy something 15 minutes away, remember, this isn't natural, it's planned. Someone decided your neighborhood shouldn't have shops nearby. Someone chose to build parking lots instead of housing next to public transportation. Someone designed that street as a highway knowing it runs through a residential area. These aren't inevitable tragedies. They're political decisions that shape your daily life, your budget, and your health. The good news is that cities can change these policies quickly. The bad news is that most won't until citizens demand better planning decisions that prioritize people over real estate profits and car traffic. What's the worst planning decision that ruined your city? Tell us in the comments about the biggest urban planning disaster in your area so we can discuss it. And if this video made you see your city in a new light, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next analysis.